friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Laura. This is the Last Minute Laura channel, and when you come here, you can usually find me making something or doing something crafty. Today, I want to do something for Valentine's Day. So what I've decided to do is I am going to craft a soap infused with some of my favorite botanicals and ingredients that are associated with love and connection and kindness and just that sort of energy. So if that sounds interesting to you and you want to do some witchy Valentine's Day soap making with me, then keep watching. And if you want the written recipe for this love craft soap, then check out the links in the description down below. There will be a link to my Patreon, and if you join the Patreon, you'll have access to all of my bullet journal spreads, my patterns, my recipes, my ideas. They're all there, so definitely check that out. Now let's go make this soap. Chicken mug. Also, do you want to see a new plant? Look, I got this alocasia black velvet yesterday for $4. Isn't it pretty? I don't think I'll keep it alive long term, but I'll try for a while. It's pretty, and the leaves are velvety. Anyway, now let's go make some soap. So remember before when I said it would be a witchy soap? Well, the reason behind that is that I've chosen ingredients to mix into the soap that all have qualities associated with love or connection or love type romance, lovecraft type things. So I'm gonna go through each of the ingredients that I'm adding to my soap, and I'm gonna tell you what each of them has, what the qualities are, just so you can get an idea of why I picked them. So first, let's start with the clay. I've got some of this beautiful clay from the farm we used to live at, and this is what it looks like after it's been fired into terracotta. But prior to that, it's got this sort of matte gray with a little bit of brown to it. So I took some of this clay, I powdered it in my mortar, I just ground it down to a nice powder. Now it's nice and fine and ready to add to the soap. So clay is not typically associated with love per se, but it is considered a very absorbative ingredient. So this will absorb all of the good intentions that we put into the soap by grabbing onto those feelings and hopefully suspending them in the soap so that when the soap is used, it's going to have good energy and good vibes for the user. So we're going to use the clay with the intention of incorporating good, warm, loving energy into it and hope that it will absorb it and add it to the final product. The benefit unrelated to witchiness of clay is it works as a oil absorber on your skin, and also it will work as a abrasive exfoliant. So you can use this for exfoliating purposes and also for good witchy loving vibes. Next, let's talk about the lavender. So I'm going to be using some of these lavender buds as decoration in the soap. This is not going to be really part of the ingredients, more of a decoration, but I'm going to be using a little bit of lavender essential oil to scent the soap. I love lavender in soap. I think that it is great and relaxing, but magically, what is associated with lavender is protection and calm and peace and good sleep. So we are going to bring those elements in. It's also associated with romance and love as well, but we're hoping to bring in the peace and the good reduced stress and the sleep and all those good things with that lavender scent. Next, let's talk about rosemary. So we're going to be adding some rosemary that I grew in my garden last year and dehydrated. We're gonna add some whole leaves, not quite full sprigs, but whole leaves as decoration. And then we're gonna have ground rosemary in the actual soap, and that'll be an exfoliant. And it'll also act as a colorant because we're starting with white soap. So the magical uses of rosemary, it's often associated with memory, but it's also associated with prosperity, protection, and love as well. So we're wanting to incorporate those elements, but in addition, it just smells amazing. And also it's gonna make, hopefully, some color add to the soap. Isn't it pretty? Last but not least, let's talk about calendula. So these are flowers that I dried from my garden last year as well. I've got some whole flowers on one side and petals on the other. The properties of calendula, there's medicinal properties, like it's an anti-inflammatory, it's got volatile oils, it's antimicrobial, it's good stuff as a plant. It's used for eczema. It's in a lot of skincare, but magically it's also considered related to happiness and protection. So we want happiness and protection for our loved ones, so calendula. Also, it's probably going to add some color to the soap, hopefully. And today I am using a melt and pour soap. I don't want to use lye because I don't want to deal with all of the hubbub of it. Plus I already had this, so I figured infusing it with some botanicals will make it amazing, but also we get to not have to make the soap, which is great. So let's get started on it. Oh wait, I had one more thing to show you. I wanted to show you when I fired the clay. This is the same clay. So the clay looks this sort of gray-brown, but when it goes into a fire pit and sits in there overnight, after I shaped it into a plant pot, you can see it turns this beautiful orangey red. And then look at the difference between these two colors. Clay is so magic, which is why we're including it, but also look at my baby burro's tail. First things first, we need to melt our melt and pour soap. So I'm gonna take the melt and pour and I'm gonna use half of this. So this is 2 pounds. I'm gonna just cut it right in half and I'm gonna add it to a double boiler, which I'm going to set up. I'll show you what that looks like next. So on the stove here, I'm just going to take my bowl. I'm going to turn the stove on to medium high and I'm going to fill about 2 inches of water into this pot. And we're going to just let that come up to a simmer while we prep the soap. And I'm just going to take my soap and cut it into slightly smaller pieces, just so that it's going to melt a little bit easier. Like a fondue. Also, I have not quite figured out how we're going to mold the soap yet. So if you have a suggestion in the comments below, please suggest what I should use as a mold when I'm doing hand-poured soap and I'm not someone who does this regularly. Today I'm thinking I'm going to use a plastic clamshell from some baked goods my mom gave me. But if that's terrible, what should I do next time? Can't help me this time, but what should I do next time? And there is 1 pound of soap. Now let's put that on the double boiler. Oh, I did have another idea. I thought maybe putting plastic wrap in one of these. Maybe I'll Google it. But for now, we're gonna let this sit here and get ready and start to melt, hopefully. While it does that, though, we can prepare our botanical ingredients. So first, I want to make sure that everything is ground up that needs to be really well ground. And so we're going to be adding 1 scoop of pretty much every ingredient into this soap, starting with the clay and 1 calendula petal, I suppose. And what I'm going to do is just crush that up, just to make sure there aren't any little stones or any little bits. There's no stones, this is pure clay, but there's no little gritty bits. We want it to be a perfect powder. And while I'm grinding my clay into a powder, I'm just trying to put in really good vibes, make sure that it's part of the recipe, thinking about the one that I love, and my family, and our life, and our pets, trying to think about all good things, all loving things, just to incorporate some of that into the clay. You don't have to do that, but that's what I'm trying to do. All right, looks good and powdery. We'll just pour that into a glass container. Looking good. I do want to do a little bit of rosemary into the soap itself, so I'm going to just get a tiny little bit and just crush that up, and the lavender will be mixed in with the rosemary and the clay. All right, there's the lavender. Pour that in. Now onto the rosemary, about a scoop in there. We'll measure it when we get it done. Beautiful. Now, I want to grind up just a little bit of the calendula. For the most part, I don't want it ground up. I want to leave the petals loose, but I do want some of it ground. And there we go. Now I'll just mix all of those together. And now I'm just going to take each scoop. I'm just going to double grind it together just to make sure everything is mixing together and getting all combined. And there we go. So there is my clay and botanical mixture that we're going to add to my soap. Let's check on the soap. So we've got some melting going on. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little. You can see that white soap is starting to melt, which is awesome. We're going to let it melt all the way down until it's all liquid, and then we're going to mix in some of our ingredients. Okay, so I looked on the internet while we're waiting for this soap to melt as to what we should do for a mold, what we should pour the soap into, and a bunch of different like free soap molds, how to do it. They used cartons like this. I have one, but it's not yet empty, so let's empty it into a jar and then make this into a soap mold, because the soap is almost melted, which means it's almost time to add the stuff and then get it into a mold. So let me empty this out. This will get used today or tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to just move this out of the way. I'm going to just cut this like in half, because that's probably more than needed. All right, soap mold. So ta-da! Now I'm gonna dry it out really well, because the soap shouldn't be poured in to it wet. But there we go, now we have a soap mold. And I think our soap's almost melted, so let's go check that out. All right, so the steam you see is coming from the double boiler, not from the soap, but if you look at the soap, you can see it's almost all the way dissolved. So I'm just gonna keep it moving until it's all the way dissolved, and then it's gonna be time to add in our stuff. It's probably been about 15 minutes on the stove at this point. Probably would have been faster in a microwave, but I don't have one, and this is totally fine. I don't mind tedious tasks like this. So if you are someone who doesn't like to sit by a stove for 15-20 minutes stirring soap, then use your microwave. And you can see if I stop stirring, a film begins to form on the top of the soap. So I think that the double boiler is keeping it just hot enough to stay liquid, but I need to keep it moving. Okay, I think now is a good time to mix in the fragrance oil, and I'm just going to be mixing in a couple of drops of this because I don't want the jasmine raspberry to take over the entire soap. I'm more interested in the lavender, but I do want to try out this fragrance oil. I want to keep it moving so it doesn't solidify. I'm going to take my fragrance oil and I'm just going to add a tiny little bit. I'm going to add about 1 teaspoon, half of 1 teaspoon of fragrance oil. And I'm going to stir that in until it's totally combined. And once that's totally combined, I am going to add 3 drops of lavender essential oil. Oh my god, it smells so good. Oh, it's kind of like, it kind of gives me the same sort of scent energy as like a cranberry, like a Christmas soap. It's very, I like it. It's a nice smell. kind of, I know it's not cranberry, but that's what my brain is saying. All right, that's all mixed in now. So I'm gonna do 3 drops of lavender essential oil, because lavender is strong. 1, 2, and 3. Now we'll mix that in. Every time I stop mixing, the soap solidifies on the top layer, so I have to keep it moving. I don't know how we're gonna make it work when we're pouring it into the mold. All right, now we've got a pretty good liquid consistency. I'm just gonna stir it kind of quick for about a minute, just to make sure all the lumps that were in there from the solid top are gone, and that way we can start to mix in the botanicals. All right, looks like we're all liquid now. Just gotta keep it moving. And while we keep it moving, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of the clay mixture that's mixed with all of the other herbs and flowers. We'll just mix that in, try not to have any lumps. Hopefully we won't get any lumps here. I'm just gonna mix that all in till it's nice and incorporated. You can hear that grittiness now from the clay, and you can see the color has changed. I think I want to add a little bit more lavender essential oil because I'm not smelling it so much right now. I'm going to add a couple more drops of that, probably 3 more drops. 1, 2, and 3. Keep that moving. That is looking beautiful. Now I'm going to add some more calendula flowers, just the petals. I'm going to add about a teaspoon's worth right into the soap. I'm going to do another 1/2 scoop of the clay rosemary lavender mixture as well. You could add all kinds of stuff to this melt and pour though. I was looking online and some sites suggested oatmeal and coffee and mint leaves and marigold petals. There's tons of different botanical things that you can add to a melt and pour soap to make it a little bit more customized. Adding a little bit more calendula and just a sprinkle of rosemary to the soap. And it's looking like ready, I think. I can smell the lavender now, which is awesome. So I'm just gonna sit this here for a second while we set up our mold. We're still gonna have to re-stir this to get rid of the film that shows up on the top, but I wanna get our mold ready. All right, so I'm not a soap maker, but I'm gonna try. I'm having trouble keeping the soap hot enough that it's not gonna solidify, so I think I'm gonna have to do it in like pour batches so that I can keep some of it hot. So my plan is to use a measuring cup, grab the liquid part, and pour it into the mold, and then mix whatever has solidified until it's a liquid. So there might be some layering differences, but I think that's going to be my best option because I can't seem to keep it hot enough and it starts to solidify. Ouch! Right as soon as it comes out of, see, it's already solidifying on the measuring cup, and that's not what I want. But I don't want it to be clumpy because I don't think that's, it might be fine. Maybe it'll be fine. I guess we could try that, just pouring it in and seeing what it looks like. Let me grab some. Do you see what I mean though? As soon as I stop moving it, it starts to solidify. Maybe what I'll do is I'll give it a good stir for a couple of minutes and then just aggressively and quickly pour it into the mold from that stir. All right, so it's pretty liquidy now, and I'm gonna just pour it in to the soap mold we made. Oops. Then I'm gonna put it back on the stove to re-liquefy, hopefully. All right, now we'll just wait for that little bit to melt. And while it does, I'm going to just mix around the stuff that's in the mold so that we can put some botanicals on top to make a pretty bar of soap. All right, so I'm going to just pour the remainder into the soap mold. It's fine. They're chunks, but it's fine. It's going to be great. I mean, at least the cleanup is going to be easy because it's just soap. So I could just clean it with soap. I hope you soap makers of YouTube will forgive this monstrosity, but it's a good monstrosity. So now let's add the remainder of the botanicals. I'm gonna put some rosemary along the top, some lavender along the bottom. Just moosh that in. And then I'm gonna do calendula in the middle. And then I wanted to put a calendula flower on top, smooshed in. Oops, not quite. Oh gosh. Well, hopefully that hardens into something beautiful that we're going to appreciate so much. We're gonna let that sit to harden, and we'll see what happens as soon as that's hard. So, see you in a little bit. All right, kitchen's clean, soap is done, and here is what she looks like. That's the top. So I can still feel that it's a little bit soft, so we're gonna leave it overnight, and I'm gonna come back and show you what the soap looks like tomorrow, and we'll cut it into probably 3 or 4 soap bars, and then we'll have some, hopefully, pretty soap. I feel like the color is kind of like lackluster. It's kind of like an oatmeal sort of pukey beige, but I think with the flowers on top, that'll help. So see you tomorrow morning. And hey, don't forget to like the video. If you haven't clicked like yet, you should, because look at this pretty plant. Look how pretty it is. It's a peperomia ripple green frost, I think is what it's called. Isn't it pretty? It's a good reason to like the video. So don't forget to click the like and subscribe if you're new. Okay, see you tomorrow. Okay, so it's much later now. Several hours have elapsed. The melt and pour soap is hard as a rock and totally cooled down. I know I said I wanted to wait till tomorrow, but I think it's ready to be cut. I pressed the botanicals in when it was still a little bit soft to try and keep them kind of stuck in, but let's cut it out of the mold now. So I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut it in half from top to bottom, and then I'm going to cut those halves in half. Maybe I'll do it this way so every bar gets a flower. That way they're about 1 inch-ish long. So I'm just going to cut right through the mold and then slice right through the soap. It's actually so pretty. Look at the pretty inside. Wow, that looks so good. Wow, it's so nice. I'm totally into it. Look at what it looks like. Oh, it smells so much better once it's cut too. I can smell the fragrances. We're not going to use these for some time. I want them to sit and harden all the way, but let's cut this one in half. Oh, cool. These look so neat. Okay, let me show you this up close. They look really pretty. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So here are our bars of soap. Looking pretty cool. Looks like some of the clay settled to the bottom. And you can see like a line here, that's clay. I don't know why we got 2 different colors, but I'm okay with it. I think that is so pretty. It's weird. It smells like lavender though, but it's pretty, don't you think? Let's see all of them on their side so you can see the design. So cool. Okay, these are going to sit somewhere cool and dark and harden. I don't know if that's going to change anything about their textures or colors or anything at all, but I will come back to you when they are all the way hard, 24 hours, I guess, and we'll have a look if they've changed appearance at all. How cool! Okay, welcome back, friends. It is the next day now, and let's take a look at how the soap turned out, shall we? All right, so here is the beautiful soap, all the way hardened and dried. It has a really good firmness. It's not like wiggly or soft. It smells pretty much, you know what it kind of smells like? It smells like lavender because that's the dominant smell, but it also has like an old soap smell, like soap from my childhood. It smells clean. I'm guessing that's the raspberry jasmine that's giving it that like soapy smell because it's an actual fragrance oil, but the lavender is more mild, but it is present and it has a creamy sort of smell too. Like it feels like it's gonna lather really nice. I don't know though, we're gonna have to check, but let's see how the bars all look now. So, I'm pretty pumped about it. I think we should test the lather though. Look at this up close. So, it's got some different textures going on because I couldn't keep it melted long enough to keep it a consistent color, but I think it looks cool. It looks like it's on purpose. It wasn't on purpose. I was hoping to get the whole soap to be like this, just all one texture, but we got a couple of textures and I think they all look kind of adorable. Don't you think they're pretty? Like handmade soap? Who is she? Okay, let's get a bowl of warm water and do a little lather test. So I've got a little bowl. I'm just going to take this soap and cut a little piece off of the end. Ooh, look at that side cut. Pretty. Those calendula flowers turned out pretty cool. Okay, now let's just make a lather. It feels like soap, not super lathery, not a ton of bubbles, but we didn't do anything to enhance the bubbles, so I think that's just the quality of the soap. But it's soaped up all right. It smells more lavendery now that I'm using it, but yeah, that's pretty nice soap. Okay, now let me just wash my hands off and I'll tell you how the texture of my hands is after a wash with this soap. Oh, that's actually really nice and like creamy and moisturizing. And once it gets moving, more of a lather now. Okay, let me rinse off my hands. Feel. Oh, actually, it's not super drying. I feel pretty moisturized. Usually when I use a handmade soap, it's like squeaky clean, very, very clean, but this is still pretty, I still feel pretty soft, so that's cool. Handmade soap. Sort of. Handmade melt and pour soap from start to finish. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a fun time doing it. I've never made soap before, so this was a fun little experiment, and I think I'll gift a couple of these bars to a couple of friends, and then I will keep one or two for myself to test a little bit more long-term, see how this soap does, how it holds up and whatnot. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're interested in seeing me try more things like this, let me know in the comments. And if you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out, and the YouTube algorithm gods really appreciate those likes just as much as I do, so like the video. Anyway, friends, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons who are supporting me on Patreon. Here is the list of patrons for this month. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. If you want to join the Patreon for the written recipe, which will have more information on the ingredients that I used, or if you would like to join the Patreon just to support the channel, please do. Links are in the description down below. All right, that's all for today. I'll see you next time. Bye!